the real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com. RSR Money. Great resource, not just because I'm the one that supplies it to everybody, but I find it to be, I go there and check out data as well. What are you going to get at rsrmoney.com? You can find out the value of your current property. 97% of the properties across the entire country that are up for sale, they're listed there. Monitor your bank account, your assets, your credit report. All available, rsrmoney.com. Does not cost you anything. Foreclosure numbers today are not like 2008. You've been keeping up with the news lately. You've probably come across headlines talking about the increase in foreclosures in today's housing market. This may have left you with some uncertainty, especially if you're considering buying a home. It's important to understand the context of these reports to know the truth about what's happening today. According to a recent report from Adam, a property data provider, foreclosure filings are up 2% compared to previous quarter and 8% since 1 year ago. While media headlines are drawing attention to this increase, reporting on just the number could actually generate worry for fear that prices could crash. The reality is, while increasing, the data shows a foreclosure crisis is not where the market is headed. Let's look at the latest information with context so you can see how this compares to previous years. It isn't the dramatic increase headlines would have you believe. In recent years, the number of foreclosures has been down to record lows. That's because in 2020 and 2021, the forbearance program and other relief options for homeowners helped millions of homeowners stay in their homes, allowing them to get back on their feet during a very challenging period. And with home values rising at the same time, many homeowners who may have found themselves facing foreclosure under other circumstances were able to leverage their equity and sell their houses rather than face foreclosure. You can still do that today if you're having trouble. There is, you got equity. Unless you bought it in 2021, you've probably got equity. So the bottom line is, why let it go to foreclosure or short sale or any of these other issues? You do not need to. As the government's moratorium came to an end, there was an expected rise in foreclosures. Think about the math, because the headlines don't tell you this. If you go from 50 foreclosures in a given city or county, which there are not that many, and you go to 75, that's a 50% increase. Sounds dramatic. But 25 out of the whole county or city or whatever it is, It's just math. As the government's moratorium came to an end, there was an expected rise in foreclosures. But just because foreclosures are up doesn't mean the housing market is in trouble. As Claire Trapasso, executive news editor at Realtor.com, says, quote, many of these foreclosures would have occurred during the pandemic, but were put off due to federal, state, and local foreclosure moratoriums designed to keep people in their homes. Real estate experts have stressed that this isn't a repeat of the Great Recession. It's not that scores of homeowners suddenly cannot afford their mortgage payments. Rather, many lenders are now catching up. The foreclosures would have happened during the pandemic if moratoriums hadn't halted the proceedings. In a recent article, Bankrate also explains, quote, in the years after the housing crash, millions of foreclosures flooded the housing market, depressing prices. That's not the case now. Most homeowners have a comfortable equity cushion in their homes. Lenders weren't filing default notices during the height of the pandemic, pushing foreclosures to record lows in 2020. And while there has been a slight uptick in foreclosures since then, it's nothing like it was, unquote. Basically, there's not a sudden flood of foreclosures coming. Instead, some of the increase due to the delayed activity explained before are economic conditions. To further paint the picture of just how the situation is compared to the housing crash, well, of course, we've got graphs that we share these things all the time. Foreclosures in the first 6 months of the year, look at that, down to 2010, we had 1.7 million foreclosures. 2023, 186,000. Don't listen to what the media has to say. They're just blowing smoke at you. And there's all kinds of options. There's really not a good reason to go through foreclosure. I mean, there might be some, but for the most part, very few for few reasons. There are investors that we know they're always looking to help take these properties off of somebody's hands so they don't have to go through foreclosure. Give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. We will put you in touch with solutions. Could it be a realtor? Maybe. Could it be a bankruptcy attorney? That could hold them off. Could it be short sales? Maybe. Not a whole lot of them. Investors, all sorts of options. That's the Real Time Real Estate segment, again, brought to you by rsrmoney.com.